All right, so this is the pre-work to doing the actual work, simplifying radicals. You got to know how to do this in order to deal with the distance formula. So let's take a look at this. We all know that there's something called perfect squares, right? And a perfect square is basically, if you take the square root of, let's just say 1, we know that gives you an integer answer because the square root of 1 is 1, right? And then we can go on so forth. Square root of 4 is obviously going to give me 2. And so in order for us to really understand how to simplify radicals, we need the list of perfect squares. So I'm going to go ahead and make them root 9, root 16, root 25, root 36, root 49, root 64, root 81, root 100, root 121, root 144, okay? And obviously square root of 9 is 3, square root of 16 is 4, square root of 25 is 5, etc. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? Keep in mind that the square root of a number just gets you simply that number. So the problem becomes, what happens when I ask you, what is the square root of 8, right? We know that the square root of 8 is somewhere between 2 and 3, but we want to get a more exact answer than that, okay? And so the way that you want to think about simplifying a square root or a radical is by simply doing this step, okay? The first thing that you want to ask is, what's the highest perfect square that the square root of 8 is divisible by? And in this case, you only have two choices, and it's rarely ever this, so it's got to be square root of 4, okay? So you're going to put the perfect square on the outside. So square root of 4, and then 4 times what gets you 8? It's got to be square root of 2. Okay, so it's got to be root 4, root 2. And from here, of these two things, which one is it that you can simplify? Well, it's root 4 because it's a perfect square. So this simplifies to 2, this stays the same, and here's the final answer, okay? Another way of writing square root of 8 is 2 root 2, okay? Let's try a couple more examples. Square root of, let's just say 12, okay? Once again, if you're looking at the list of perfect squares, what is square root of 12 divisible by? In this case, it's going to be root 4, right? And so you extract that root 4, and then the one that you cannot simplify goes on the right-hand side, okay? The one that you can simplify always goes on the left because it's more elegant to write it like this. Square root of 4 becomes 2, and so another way of writing root 12 is just 2 root 3, okay? Now, let me give you a more challenging example, which would be root 72, okay? It's quite possible that you could take a look at this and be like, oh yeah, 9 times 8, right? 9 times 8 gets you 72. But the problem is you got to be super careful, especially with larger numbers like this, because there is a perfect square that this is divisible by that's higher than square root of 9. And if you look across, see if you could guess it before I tell you in the next 3 seconds. 2, 1, and 0. If you said the square root of 36, you're absolutely correct, because square root of 36 times 2 would get you 72, okay? And so this is the highest perfect square. Square root of 36 is actually going to give you 6. So another way of writing square root of 72 is 6 root 2. Now you're probably asking, what if you did choose 9 and 8? That's perfectly fine, but you have to know the method on how to simplify it correctly too. Let's just say we did do root 9, root 8, okay? All right, from here, we could say this is 3 root 8. But from our experience from before, we know that root 8 is not fully simplified. So we can split root 8 one more time, and watch this. I'm gonna bring down the 3, and I'm gonna split root 8 into root 4, root 2, okay? And this is the tricky part. Root 4, 3 comes down. Square root of 4 simply becomes 2. And you put 2 in the parentheses, and you drop the square root of 2. And from here, 3 times 2 gets you to 6 root 2. Notice how this answer is the same thing as this answer. However, the difference is that we got to this answer a lot quicker because we picked the highest perfect square, whereas over here, we did not. Okay, so this is how we are generally simplifying. I'll probably do one more. Let's just say square root of 32, right? Yeah, the square root of 32, the highest perfect square, you could say 4 and 8, but it's really going to be 16 and 2. And then the fastest way to simplify this is 4 root 2.